Fire. Before we dive in, make sure you hit subscribe, stay tuned, and don't miss the most shocking twists you'll ever read. Because this story will keep you on the edge of your seat from the first word to the last. And trust me, you won't see what's coming next. It was supposed to be an ordinary Friday evening when Maya and her younger brother Jordan left the small neighborhood grocery store in a run-down corner of the city, carrying 2 bags of food and laughing about how their mother still insisted on sending them both to do errands together like they were still kids. But as they walked past the alleyway lined with graffiti and flickering neon lights, they didn't realize that a ruthless local gang had been watching them for days, hungry for trouble and blind to the danger they were about to unleash on themselves. For Maya wasn't just anyone. She was a decorated Navy SEAL, trained in some of the harshest conditions on Earth, capable of dismantling an enemy unit with her bare hands. But tonight she wore only a hoodie and jeans, blending into the city like any other young woman, concealing the storm of lethal skill that lived inside her veins. And when the gang of 6 men stepped out from the shadows, blocking their path, sneering and jeering, Jordan instinctively tensed up, holding the grocery bag tighter as though it could shield him, while Maya calmly scanned each face, noting tattoos, stances, and the bulge of a concealed weapon under one thug's jacket, all in a fraction of a second, her mind operating in combat mode without showing a trace on her face. And when the gang leader, a tall man with a jagged scar running from his temple to his chin, leaned forward and spat on the pavement before barking that they were in the wrong neighborhood and needed to pay a toll if they wanted to pass, Jordan tried to step up, saying they didn't want trouble, but Maya subtly pressed her arm against him, a silent signal to let her handle it, though the gang mistook her calmness for fear, laughing cruelly, circling like predators who believed they'd already won. And in that instant, Maya realized she had 2 choices: defuse it quietly and hope they backed off, or unleash the side of her that had stormed enemy compounds in the dead of night. And when one thug grabbed Jordan by the hoodie and shoved him against the wall, the decision was made for her, because family wasn't negotiable, and in less than the blink of an eye she moved, twisting the thug's wrist with such precision that his bones cracked like dry wood, sending his knife clattering to the ground, her knee driving into his ribs so hard he collapsed gasping for air, and the other gang members froze in disbelief, then erupted in rage, charging at her from all sides. But Maya was already in motion, every movement an echo of years of combat training, her fists landing with the accuracy of bullets, her body flowing like water yet striking with the force of steel. And Jordan, wide-eyed, could hardly process what he was seeing as his sister dismantled attackers twice her size, turning the alley into a war zone of grunts, shouts, and the dull thud of bodies hitting the concrete. But the leader wasn't like the others. He was bigger, meaner, and carried a hidden switchblade, lunging at Maya with deadly speed, and for a moment it looked like he might catch her off guard, but she sidestepped, trapping his arm and flipping him face first into the brick wall so hard his scar split open, blood trailing down his cheek as he cursed and staggered, vowing revenge. Yet even then, Maya kept her expression calm, like a predator measuring its prey, and as sirens wailed faintly in the distance, the surviving thugs dragged their wounded leader away, shouting that this wasn't over, that they'd be back. And Jordan, trembling but safe, turned to his sister with awe, whispering, "What are you?" And Maya, wiping a smear of blood from her knuckle, simply replied, "I'm your sister," leaving out the part about Navy SEALs, classified missions, and the countless times she had walked through fire and come out stronger. But the gang wasn't finished, because what Maya didn't know was that this particular crew was tied to a larger syndicate with deep roots in the city, and their humiliation that night would spark a chain of retaliation that would test her skills, loyalty, and very identity in ways she hadn't imagined. And over the next few days strange things began happening. Unmarked cars idling outside their home, threatening notes slipped under the door, Jordan's school locker vandalized with warnings, and Maya knew this wasn't random street-level anger. It was organized, calculated, and coming for blood. And though she could have gone to her old contacts in the Navy or law enforcement, she chose to handle it herself, not wanting to expose her family to scrutiny or drag her brother into a world he wasn't ready for. But Jordan was already becoming part of it, his fear shifting into determination as he asked her to teach him how to fight, how to defend himself. And while Maya hesitated, knowing the darkness that came with such skills, she saw the fire in his eyes and agreed, training him quietly in their backyard at dawn, pushing him through drills that broke his muscles but built his spirit. And as Jordan grew stronger, so too did the threats, culminating in the night their house was set ablaze by Molotov cocktails, forcing them to flee into the street with nothing but the clothes on their backs, neighbors screaming, flames lighting up the night sky, and that was when Maya snapped, no longer content to react, vowing to take the fight to the gang's doorstep, and she did, stalking them through the city like a shadow, dismantling their operations one by one. First their drug stash hidden in a warehouse, which she exposed to the cops with anonymous tips, then their weapons supply, which she sabotaged by sneaking in at night and rendering useless, leaving the thugs paranoid, desperate, and dwindling in power, until finally, she confronted the leader again, this time in their own stronghold, surrounded by his men, and though the odds looked impossible, Maya fought like a storm unleashed, her body moving with deadly grace, every strike a message that she was not prey but predator, and when the dust settled, the gang lay broken, their leader unconscious at her feet, sirens closing in as neighbors called the police, and Maya knew this was the end of their reign, but not the end of her fight, because in exposing herself she had drawn the attention of larger forces watching from the shadows, whispering her name, realizing that the woman who defended her brother that night was no ordinary civilian but a warrior forged in the crucible of the Navy SEALs, and as she and Jordan walked away into the night, hand in hand, with fire trucks dousing the remnants of the blaze, the future loomed uncertain, but one thing was clear. Anyone who dared to threaten them again would learn the same brutal lesson. That family is a battlefield worth dying for, and Maya was the kind of soldier who never lost a war.